Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Amateur StarCraft League. I'm your host, as always, the Reaper, bringing you game number 2 between Syff and Protoss. This matchup will be on the map Blistering Sands. And in round number 1, we saw some really good aggressiveness from Protoss, our Protoss player. I'd still like to know how he managed to get that name. Great name, really like it. Alright, so Blistering Sands has kind of a small rushing distance, if you could say that. And so I would say that this matchup right now favors the Zerg player, but with the kind of play that we've seen out of Protoss, it would not surprise me if this match went in his favor. So you see him going ahead and throwing down that pylon and then transitioning into a scout just like last game. Very standard play by him. Syff here is just continuing to bolster up his drone count here. Getting his overlord here at 10, it looks like. This probe going to come in, do some quick scouting. He's probably not going to see much. Might see a proxy or something like that. Should see 3 more drones being made here by Syff. He's got the minerals, but he decides to go for a spawning pool a little early there. Standard would have been around 13 or 14. That probe was dancing around like it was thinking about doing a proxy, but now it's just scouting. He'll count out only 11 drones, including this one in the cocoon. Will seem kind of strange, considering the spawning pool should just now maybe be going out, as opposed to being halfway done already. So we might be seeing an early push here by the Zerg player. I'll keep tabs on Protoss's probe here. Looks like it's not really doing anything. Meanwhile, in his base, we've got a gateway going down over here. And looks like dual assimilators already coming down. So early gas, it would appear, for our Protoss player. The spawning pool just now about to be done. There it goes. And here comes the queen finally. Alright. So this probe's still just continuing to dance around here, get as much information as possible. Really solid scouting here by Protoss. Scouting, of course, so important. Knowing when your opponent gets gas, when he puts down buildings, stuff like that. Very important. And of course, Protoss very wary of these destructible rocks right here. Always good to have your backside covered. Alright, so we see one gateway into a cybernetics core. So we might be seeing some kind of early tech up build here. Definitely not going for a rush. We could see, maybe a Void Ray rush. I doubt it. Looking at the composition that his opponent has, a Void Ray rush wouldn't really be conceivable at this exact time. So Syff here is going to try and snipe off that probe. And Protoss, gets as much information as he can. All he really saw was a little bit earlier of a spawning pool, and he saw when this gas right here went down, and he saw no early expansion, which is kind of strange. Here we go. Stargate coming down right here. So a gateway into a cybernetics core with no research being done, straight into a Stargate. So it definitely seems like we're going to be seeing some kind of aerial rush out of our Protoss player here. And we see 12 lings being made by Syff. So I'm not sure if he's going to try and use them to control the towers, if he's going for a rush. If he went for a rush right now, it actually would work out really well for him, because his opponent is going straight into a Stargate. And that literally has no ground forces right now. Well, we do see the Stalker finally being made, but one Stalker is not going to counter 12 Lings. I mean, Lings counter Stalkers in the first place. One Zealot would be able to do some damage, but an early surround is just devastating when you've only got one unit. And we do see the Void Ray coming out, so Protoss here planning on going with the Void Ray rush. We see a Baneling nest coming up, just in case there's a wall off here. Gonna be unnecessary though. He's got all these speedlings here. He's just gonna come up here, see what's up here, sees one stalker, decides, alright, time to push in. Pushes in with these speedlings, gets a beautiful surround on the Stalker. Stalker never really had a chance. We don't see any more units warping in here. Well, Sentry now, a little too late though, as these lings are already in the mineral line. It's just gonna reap absolute havoc here. And this Void Ray still in production, not out yet. Nice little bit of micro there to keep his lings out of harm's way. Gonna destroy all these probes. This one probe, Protoss trying to keep it away. Looks like this Nexus is going to get sniped here. There goes the Void Ray, but he's not going to be able to do anything when there's a Queen in base. And all these lings right now are just going to come in here and absolutely destroy this base. Protoss trying to rebuild. Nothing he can really do at this point though. This pylon's going to get sniped. These simulators are going down, and most of all his Nexus is going down here. He does have a sentry out, but he knows not to push in right now with it. Meanwhile, this Void Ray trying to snipe out the spawning pool. His Queen not really doing anything about it. Syff's attention was obviously on destroying his opponent's base. And if it comes down to a base race, it's obviously going to be in the favor of the Zerg player just because he's got such a massive amount of lings right now. And finally, Syff gonna try and pick off this Void Ray, even though it was at full charge there. No spawning pool, so we won't see any more lings. Syff looking like he's doing some scouting, making sure there's not another expansion. And then the GG comes down from Protoss. So Protoss took an early round 1 victory, only to fall to the Zergling rush. So that early spawning pool did end up becoming a Zergling rush, and that Stargate did turn into a Void Ray rush, and Zergling rush is just going to beat Void Ray rush every time. You can get out so many lings so much faster than you can get out even just one Void Ray, and the Void Ray just so resource heavy, and one is just not efficient, especially when you've got a Queen. And if you start making a second Queen right when you scout out this Void Ray, or when this Void Ray attacks, you should have plenty of time. 2 Queens will down a Void Ray even at full charge, no problem. So that was game 2 of the Amateur StarCraft League Invitational Round 1 between Protoss and Syff. And I've been your host, the Reaper. And if you guys have any epic replays, remember, do not hesitate to send them to me. I am always willing to take a look at your replays, see if I want to cast them, if I've got the time to cast them. You know, I'm probably going to be busy here in the next week trying to cast all these games. We've got so many games for the Amateur StarCraft Invitational. And I just want to send out a special shout out to my buddy Midas Wright. He put in a lot of work with me to help get the Amateur StarCraft League Invitational going, and I really appreciate his help, and I also appreciate all the players who showed up and played. Alright, thanks guys.